When people ask, where is a great place in Indiana with lots of things to see and do, I always tell them, you gotta come to Corydon and Harrison County. And quite frankly, if you're going west on I-64 and past Corydon, you will not see much civilization for nearly 100 miles. To be fair, there are many small towns along the way, but it is pretty much wide open spaces until you reach Evansville. This place has early Indiana history, as it was the first state capital before being moved to Indianapolis. Museums that tell the story of this great area. The only Civil War battlefield in Indiana, a part of the infamous Morgan's Raid. The incredible Indiana Caverns, with nearly 45 miles of passages. An underground boat ride. And a one-person roller coaster. There's also the historic Squire Boone Caverns, with not only a beautiful cave, but a pioneer village and gristmill. For nature lovers, there's the OBannon State Park. It has beautiful trails along the Ohio River, deep gorges, a rocky, karst landscape, an intriguing nature center, and its own pioneer village, including a farm with animals. If you're looking for excitement, a large resort casino sits along the Ohio River. And if you're just looking for a little peace and quiet, Harrison County has plenty of that, with nearly 487 square miles to explore. With some of the most beautiful scenery in southern Indiana, definitely bring a camera. Prepare to discover an amazing hidden world. Corydon is both the county seat and the largest city in Harrison County. It's close to a huge number of tourist attractions, and you can't go wrong by staying here. But Corydon got its name in a very strange way. It was the early 1800s, and William Henry Harrison, Indiana Territory Governor and the future 9th President of the United States, would travel to this largely unsettled area. And when he did, he would stay with a friend named Edward Smith and family. For entertainment, everyone would sing songs, and Edward's daughter, Jenny, sang one named Pastoral Elegy. It's a song about a shepherd boy named Corydon that died. The last part goes, "Sweet Corydon's notes are all o'er. Now lonely he sleeps in the clay. His cheeks bloom with roses no more, since death called his spirit away." Well, William Henry Harrison loved this happy song, and when he asked the family what the future town should be called, Jenny spoke up and said Corydon, and the rest is literally history. In fact, downtown Corydon is like one big history museum with many fun and unexpected surprises. Starting at the edge of town, on the east side of Capitol Avenue, is the Cedar Glade Plantation, built in 1808. It's on the National Register of Historic Places. This beautiful home has quite the history, including being a refuge for townspeople when Confederate General John Hunt Morgan attacked Corydon in 1863. Turning west, or right on High Street, is a very unusual and iconic tourist attraction, the Constitution Elm. In the days before air conditioning, the log cabin Capitol building got pretty hot. Legislators came outside, sat beneath the elm tree, and drafted the Indiana State Constitution. As the story goes, when the grand old tree died of Dutch elm disease, all the branches were cut off. A healthy coating of tar was added to the outside. The stone shrine just makes it. It is absolutely a great place to get your picture taken. Right behind the monument is a special cabin. Built in 1807, it was the home of Colonel Lewis Jordan, commander of the Harrison Home Guard. In 1863, just south of downtown, he bravely tried to fight off about 2,000 Confederate soldiers with only a handful of local men. While greatly outnumbered, he will always be remembered as one of the bravest men that Corydon ever knew. Back on Capitol Avenue is the cabin of William Henry Harrison, also on the west or right side of the road. Serving as a history museum, it is surprisingly spacious on the inside. It even includes a cabinet built by Squire Boone, the brother of famous explorer Daniel Boone. Squire lived just down the road from Corydon at Mockport. His homestead and cave are now a major tourist attraction. Continuing down Capitol Avenue and crossing Walnut Street, we enter the downtown historic district. At the center of town is the Indiana Territory Capitol and First State Capitol building. But before you visit that, tour the museum across the street. The Harrison County Discovery Center is a great introduction to all the area attractions, from history to outdoor activities. Lots of hand-on, interactive exhibits. Some even talk to you.
A test.
A highlight is the cave section. Harrison County has over 600 known caves. It's also home to the longest cave in Indiana, the Binkley Cave System. At present, it's been mapped at nearly 45 miles long. With so many caves, it was a natural place for prehistoric people to live. And many artifacts have been found here. From pioneer settlement, lawlessness on the frontier, the Underground Railroad, to a dynamic walkthrough exhibit about the Civil War. And the continuing story of Harrison County. If you are in Corydon, one would be amiss without taking a Capitol tour. The square is beautiful any time of year, but is absolutely breathtaking in the spring. Frank OBannon grew up here, helped run the family newspaper, and eventually became governor of Indiana. His statue on the square smiles at all visitors. Southwest of Corydon, OBannon State Park is named after him. In addition to the original courthouse is the current Harrison County Courthouse. This town square is also where Confederate General John Hunt Morgan paraded the town's captured Home Guard soldiers. He also threatened to burn down all the mills in the county if his demands were not met. It was a very dark time for Corydon. But today is a different day. You can get helpful maps and information at the Visitor Center, located on the northeast corner of the square. To take a Capitol tour, tickets are purchased across the street at the carriage house. The old state capitol is pretty amazing. The walls are a massive 3 feet thick, which helped keep it cooler in the days before air conditioning. Originally built as the second Indiana Territory Capitol building, it also served as the first Indiana State Capitol building when Indiana became a state in 1816. The ground floor was where the House of Representatives met. Upstairs is the Senate chamber. As well as the Supreme Court. It was here that Polly Strong, an enslaved woman, appealed to the Indiana Supreme Court for her freedom. The ruling stated that slavery can have no existence in Indiana. In fact, from the very beginning, slavery was always illegal in Indiana. However, some people brought slaves to Indiana anyway. Ironically, it was not illegal to come to Indiana and capture runaway slaves. Harrison County citizens built a complex network of hiding places called the Underground Railroad, helping enslaved people escape to freedom in the North. The Capitol Tour also covers the residence and headquarters of Governor William Hendricks. He lived here from 1822 to 1825. He is the only person in Indiana state history to win 100% of the votes for governor, claiming 18,340 in all. To be fair, no one else was running against him. William Hendricks strongly opposed slavery and made big plans to eradicate it, as did former Governor Jonathan Jennings and influential legislator Dennis Pennington. These three men made slavery illegal in Indiana from the very beginning, making it a part of the state constitution in 1816. Setting the tone of what would become the modern era of Indiana. If you drive around, you can see a bunch of other historic places, even the grave of a movie star, in a very short time. For starters, just east of the William Hendricks headquarters is the very first state capitol building in Indiana. Built in 1817, it was the offices of the Treasury and Auditor. The Treasury Vault was in the basement. Situated high up on the hill, it contained all of Indiana's money. It was a miniature Fort Knox. On Summit Street is Cedar Hill Cemetery. Where Confederate soldiers killed by the Harrison County Home Guard are buried, but also a Hollywood star. Here is the grave of actor James Best, who was orphaned at 3 years old, adopted, and grew up in Corydon. While appearing in many movies and TV shows, he is best remembered for playing Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane in the Dukes of Hazzard television series. Notice the police car and Dodge Charger from the Dukes of Hazzard. While Jimmy Best became a big Hollywood star, he came back and visited from time to time, and local people still remember him very fondly. Also on Summit Street, a block east, is the Leora Brown School. Built as a school for African American children, it was renamed in honor of Leora Brown, who was a teacher here from 1924 to 1950. She devoted countless hours of her life to improving the education of children in her care. On North Oak Street, behind the Harrison County Discovery Center, is the home of Colonel Thomas Posey. He was a soldier, merchant, Indiana statesman, Methodist, and lifelong bachelor. But most important on his resume, he was a decent human being. He provided a home for 14 orphans and gave them a second chance, one they wouldn't have got without him. Even today, people still remember his kindness. And finally, on the corner of Capitol Avenue and Chestnut Street, the historic Kettner Inn, built in 1873. Fully restored to its original elegance, it's a 15-room bed and breakfast. But for a moment, let's step away from history and focus on the present. There are restaurants to get a bite to eat. If you're into antiques, you'll love the Red Barn Antique Mall. It has 2 stories above ground. And a basement where you might find that item you searched for years. The world-famous Zimmerman Art Glass Company. It's not only a beautiful showroom of blown glass. It's also a place where you can see demonstrations of the craft. At Christmas time, you can even help create your own ornaments. White House candy is an absolute treat. All kinds of candy, chocolates, and gourmet popcorn in a beautifully decorated setting. You can enjoy your items here, or have them boxed for the road. They are a great gift idea. On the eastern edge of town is Rice Island. It consists of a bridge along the water. A playground for the kids to burn off some energy. And a trail to stretch your legs. If you've been driving for a bit, it's a welcomed add to the trip. But perhaps one of my favorite Corydon places has been butt drugs. You heard me right. That funny name has made it a focus of national TV and a great commercial. You can look it up on YouTube. Established in 1952 by pharmacist William Blackie Butt, it's been a Corydon institution for over 70 years. Generations have loved the old-time soda fountain, small museum, and especially the boutique that has sold a variety of fun items that play on the Butt family name. Sadly, in April 2023, the doors were closed on the family business, ending decades of friendly customer service and self-effacing humor, leaving countless good memories of the little downtown pharmacy with a funny name. But no matter what business fills its place, there will always be parking in the rear. Driving to the south end of town, we find the Harrison County 4-H Fairgrounds. This is the oldest county fairground in Indiana that's remained in one place. It's been here since 1860. That was before the Civil War. This is where generations of kids have participated in 4-H programs, bringing their exhibits for everyone to see, and thereby building a lifetime of character. The Homecomers Barn, built in 1909, is the oldest building on the 4-H grounds. It looks like a giant cross from the air. There's also the new Wendell Ag building for future generations to enjoy. But at the southwest corner of the grounds is one of the oldest features, the Old Spring. People from pioneer times have drank from the spring. Some people claimed that the water had healing powers. Even President William Henry Harrison drank from these waters whenever he visited the area. You can take a peek inside, but taking a drink is not advised. Continuing south on Capitol Avenue, you leave the town of Corydon and enter a landscape of adventure. You will find rolling hills, ancient limestone cliffs, two amazing show caves, pioneer villages, and small towns of the past, not to mention some of the most beautiful country in Indiana. Capitol Avenue climbs steeply and becomes Old State Road 135, setting the tone for something completely different. In a few moments, on the left side of the road, you'll find a Civil War battlefield, the only one in Indiana. This is where Confederate General John Hunt Morgan and over 2,000 men were confronted by Harrison County's brave but greatly outnumbered Home Guard, along with many citizens that wanted to join the fight. Led by Colonel Lewis Jordan, the Confederates were caught by surprise and were inflicted many casualties. The Battle of Corydon Historic Site commemorates the only Civil War battle ever fought in Indiana. It's a story of heroism and community in which ordinary people volunteered to defend the land they loved. And some of them never saw home again. On July 9th, 1863, General Morgan's cavalry rode into an ambush made by the Harrison County Home Guard and citizens that mobilized as fast as they could. General Morgan sent numerous spies and diversions ahead of the attack, even trying to gain support in Harrison County itself. Though told by his commanders not to enter Indiana, he did it anyway. Along the then dirt roads leading to Corydon, Harrison County citizens waited nervously. Most were not soldiers at all, but farmers and businessmen. Under 500 men took arms against a force over 4 times as big. But they fought for something that they felt worth dying for: their land, their homes, their values, and their freedom. In the distance is a cabin where the story of this battle is told by interpreters that dress up in period attire. 11 Confederates were killed, but 40 were wounded in the ambush. The attack on Harrison County resulted in 8 dead and 4 wounded. About 100 managed to escape, while over 350 were captured. General Morgan had a cannon fire 2 warning shots above the town of Corydon, signaling that he was coming. He then paraded the prisoners around the Corydon Square. In the aftermath, generations of fathers have taught their children the value of being prepared and how to aim a rifle. If you continue south on Old Highway 135 and take a left on both Shiloh Road and then Green Acres Drive, you will arrive at Indiana Caverns. Open to the public in 2013, this is a tour of one section of the 44-mile Binkley Cave system, the largest known in Indiana. Here you'll see an awesome cave, prehistoric fossils, a waterfall, and ride a boat deep inside the earth. There's gem and fossil mining, where you buy a bag of dirt and sift for treasures to take home. There's an escape room for those that like to solve puzzles, and a one-person roller coaster if you have the guts. In addition to a great gift shop, this is a premier place to visit. There are some stairs to navigate, but the paths are well done and well lit. There are prehistoric bones from animals that are now extinct. But my favorite is the boat ride. It's incredibly smooth, relaxing, and a great memory to be made. Further south on 135 and a turn left on Squire Boone Road will take you to Squire Boone Caverns. Here you'll find the last home of Daniel Boone's brother, Squire Boone. In 1790, Squire was chased by Shawnee braves that were trying to kill him. At the last minute, he found a cave, jumped inside, and eluded his assailants. He thereafter called the cave holy and chose to live nearby for the rest of his life. There's a beautiful grist mill. Pioneer village with various shops. A great gift shop. Zip line. Petting zoo. And the gravesite of Squire Boone himself that asked to be buried here in the cave. The walk to the cave isn't bad, and you'll see some beautiful country along the way. Inside, you'll see some of the most beautiful formations in Indiana. Not to mention, one of the largest brimstone dams in the world. And a formation called the Rock of Ages. I think it looks like an elephant. What do you think? You'll pass the actual coffin of Squire Boone himself. His bones were moved here, deeper in the cave, to prevent theft by relic hunters. The tour passes the coffin to pay tribute to this Revolutionary War soldier, explorer, Baptist minister, and statesman. In his lifetime, he was well known for his kindness and hospitality. And that tradition continues on every tour since the 1970s. Just be sure you're up to doing a spiral staircase. It's the only way out of the cave. OBannon Wood State Park, named after former Governor Frank OBannon, is a hidden gem located on the southernmost part of Harrison County. Not incredibly well known, this park is 2,294 acres of forest, with hiking trails along deep gorges and high limestone cliffs. Visitors can enjoy a fire tower with an outstanding view above the plateau. In miles of high-up places, keep your eyes on the road, as some of the turns are very sharp. You don't want to end up down there. The Nature Center provides both a glimpse of creatures that have lived in Indiana, such as bears and wolves, to rare ones like the hellbender. If you're not a fan of snakes, know that the enclosures on the outside walls have many varieties. The scary part is how well the rattlesnake and copperhead blend in due to camouflage. But there's a lot more. Like the Indiana snapping turtle. With a nasty disposition and a bite force of 147 pounds, these things make terrible playmates. This is the endangered hellbender. It's a giant salamander. In fact, the largest in North America. They can grow to nearly 30 inches long and weigh 5 pounds. If you like, you can sit in the birdwatching room. Behind the Nature Center is the Hay Press Barn. It has numerous exhibits and a vintage hay press. Just outside is the Pioneer Village and Farm. Walking among the cabins, you get a sense of how pioneers lived in the 1800s. There's a smokehouse for curing meat. In the days before refrigerators, you had to smoke meats in order to keep things from going rotten. And speaking of rotten, this is a 2-hole outhouse, a bathroom for people that do everything together. Or maybe sharing a swing in the country is more your style. No matter what, you're sure to find some peace if you look for it. For me, it's the waterfront along the Ohio River. With no time limits, you can watch boats pass all day long. You'll see many coal barges bringing coal from mines in southwest Indiana. You can't help but notice the large limestone cliffs that overlook the river. There are great trails to get a closer look. If you have horses, bring them. OBannon Woods has both the facilities and trails for days of outdoor recreation. Or bring the RV and enjoy some quiet. There's a large camp for just that, including bathrooms and showers for your convenience. While just outside, of Harrison County. You can get tickets to tour Wyandotte Caves at the OBannon Park office. There are 2 caves to tour. The small cave tour is about 45 minutes and not very strenuous. The larger cave is moderately strenuous and will require use of a headlamp. The tour is over 2 hours long, and once you take it, you'll know you've been somewhere. It has one of the largest underground mountains in North America and extensive passages that will thrill your adventurous spirit. If you are physically up to it, it's an outstanding experience you'll long remember. Some people just like to wing it. And if you're one of those people, Harrison County's Backroads are a perfect choice. For a great, high-up view of the Ohio River, it's hard to beat Doolittle Hill Road. If you're not afraid of heights, or losing your brakes and going down really fast on an extremely curvy road, it's pretty awesome. Kidding aside, on a sunny day, it's truly one of the most beautiful roads in the county. For people that think that Indiana is all flat, this will definitely change their perspective in a hurry. At the bottom of Doolittle Hill Road, take a left and you'll soon arrive at Caesars Southern Indiana Casino at Elizabeth, Indiana. It's not only a 110,000 square foot casino, but has 503 hotel rooms along the river. Its original claim to fame was that it had the largest floating casino in the world, the glory of Rome. But now, all gaming is on land. Morven's Landing at Mockport is an interesting area. It's where Confederate General John Hunt Morgan stole 2 steamboats in 1863. He crossed the Ohio River with over 2,000 soldiers. Some estimates say up to 2,400. He attacked Corydon, Salem, and created mass mayhem all the way over to West Harrison, Indiana, before he was captured in Ohio. High above Brandenburg, Kentucky, he watched the invasion of Indiana from a mansion on the hill. He then sank the large Alice Dean steamboat. It's still under the Ohio River after 160 years. There have been efforts to rescue it and make a museum, but it hasn't happened yet. If you have time, cross the bridge to Brandenburg for more Civil War history, such as the mansion where General Morgan stayed. A Civil War monument. A Civil War mural. And a waterfront view of Morven's Landing from Kentucky. There's also a museum with Civil War exhibits. Back in Harrison County, there's the old Goshen Church. Squire Boone helped build it, and depending on whom you talk to, it's considered the oldest Baptist church in Indiana. Then there's the charming Lacania General Store. Hey, that's how they told me to say it. I would have said Laconia or Lasonia, but I'd still be wrong both ways. Still in business for a bite to eat, a few supplies, and a tank of gas. Traveling west on River Road from Mockport will take you to New Amsterdam and a few legends. Locals call it Spook Hollow and say it's haunted by those killed by river pirates, or ancient Native Americans whose burial mounds were desecrated. Whatever the case, the canopy of trees gets more and more spooky the later it gets at night. You will pass the sand pits and Gobbler Rock, which is also supposedly haunted by Indian children. The folklore versions seem endless, but for a fact, it will end you if you hit it by accident. Slow down. New Amsterdam's claim to fame. It's the smallest city in Indiana, with a population of 12. There's an old general store from the 1800s. It's the only thing that survived the Great Flood of 1937. All the others were literally washed away. Before locks and dams raised the river, this was a low water area. It was here that runaway slaves crossed into Indiana, and Harrison County citizens provided shelter as part of the Underground Railroad. All through Harrison County, you'll see cabins along the road, like this one at Palmyra. Old barns with advertisements from days gone by, like this one on 62, or this one at Lanesville. Little towns frozen in time, like here at White Cloud. If you get a chance, take a look at Blue River. It's usually a pale green color due to all the limestone bedrock in Harrison County. While it's on private property, it's worth noting that Harrison Spring, near White Cloud, is the largest spring in Indiana. It takes up 7 acres, is 120 feet by 95 feet, and is 45 feet deep. But after you take that deep, mind-cleansing drive through the country, plenty of places will tell you this is the place you've always needed. As the sun sets on Corydon, the old square is transformed into something special. With a warm, gentle breeze and thoughts of all the history that's happened here, it takes on a certain magic. The grounds develop like something from a dream. On the steps of the gazebo, you look at a landscape where lives were lived and where footsteps from over 200 years ago were walked. And 200 years from now, this monument of where Indiana all started will still stand like the beacon it is today. The very best is yet to come. Businesses and people will come and go, and some will stay in our hearts for decades to come. Travelers will come to Harrison County, staying the night, or just passing through. But the old courthouse in Harrison County will be waiting timelessly for the next person to discover it. And perhaps that person is you.